Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Gourmet Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Joined alongside Tim in Green Bay, here to talk some Packers tonight. Man, it feels like it's been months since we've hung out and talked ball, and it's been just one full day, right? So glad to be in here talking ball with everybody. I see the chats filling in. Appreciate y'all making us a part of your evening. Looks like we're having trouble with Rumble. Not sure what's going on there, but we will try to double check that later. Looks like I did not have the time set up right, Tim. So that's user error once again. Imagine that, right? Surprise, surprise. So
here's the guy.
See if we can make this thing go live. Here's for everybody that's on Rumble. But how you doing tonight, man? Give me what's going on in Tim's live here this evening.
Clean the house today, man. Spring cleaning, so lots of fun. That's what's going on. Vacuuming and cleaning rugs and mopping floors, man. What about you? What's new in your world?
Just me trying to figure out how to successfully run a podcast here and sucking at it the whole way, So anyway, we'll set it for 8:04. We'll see if it goes live itself. I don't know if it will, but I know that probably won't be a whole lot of people. Probably won't be a whole lot of people in there watching anyway. That's what it was. We had the wrong days set up. So all right, we'll see if it goes live. Anyway. Welcome to the podcast. It's off the rails already. I see United Bates in the chat. We got Stacy Mitchell in the house. Everybody in here. Listen, we got a topic we're going to hit on briefly. And I was talking to Tim offline. I'm like, should we even talk about this? And obviously we don't have to talk about it. Let's just spend a few minutes on it. And I want to look at it from like the team's perspective. And obviously we're talking about the Elgton Jenkins situation. Actually, before we get into the Elgton Jenkins situation, let me address something real quick. We got a comment in the YouTube chat the other day or on a YouTube video basically saying, I screenshotted it to you guys. Let me read it real quick. I want to be very, very clear on how I feel about this situation here. And I try not to talk about the negative stuff too much, but this is one of those deals where I feel like it does need to be commented on. I know I sent you guys the screenshot. If I could find it here, Tim.
Oh, Mr. Oscar the Grouch?
Yeah, there we go. I wasn't even going to mention his name, but that's okay too, though. So,
oops, sorry.
Yeah, so here's the comment we had, guys. I'm going to read it real quick. That guy with the American flag is going to make people not subscribe. People from other countries are huge Packer fans, and other countries right now look down on America because of the politics. You're losing followers because of that guy. So, yeah, thank you, Tim, for injecting a little humor there. I want to be really clear about this because it's like ever so often we get a comment on Emilio's American flag that's hanging behind him. Emilio is Mexican-Italian, for those who don't know. All right. Tim, you've got family members that served in the military and, given a portion of their life to protect our freedom and all that stuff. This flag I added back here tonight is my brother's flag. He served in Desert Storm. All right. I want to be very, very, very clear about this. Anyone who's hearing my voice right now, anybody who sees us on the live stream, whether it's YouTube, Rumble, X, Facebook, wherever you are, if you have an issue with an American flag being on the show, this is not the show for you. It's not the show for you. And I'm trying to say this as calmly, as respectfully as I can. What that flag represents to me are people like my brother, people like Tim's family members, people like Tim's buddy who is overseas serving right now, who's a big fan of the show. Emilio's grandfather, who served in the military. I could give a rat's ass whether that flag bothers you or not. Because what you don't understand is when you step forward and pretend like the American flag is somehow a negative thing, it tells me exactly what you represent. which is division, which is trying to find and cherry pick the negative aspects of our country and try to paint with a broad brush this picture that somehow our country is not the best in the world. Clayton, that's very what's the word I'm looking for here? That's very cocky of you to say that. Yeah. But I know the people, the men and women that sacrifice on a daily basis to give us freedom, where we can get on a podcast and talk about what we want to, freedom of speech, or we can display a flag, whether it pisses people off or not. I just want to be really, really clear where I stand there, because there's some podcasts, there's some shows, they would probably go, oh yeah, we might want to bet, or maybe we should, let's just don't bring it up. Just move on. Don't even bring it up. No, I want people to understand very, very clearly how I feel about that flag. That flag means everything to me. Good, bad, and indifferent. Means everything to me. Everything that I have, the life I have, is all because men and women represented that flag. Do we have problems? Absolutely. Country's got problems. Country's always had problems. Country's always going to have problems. It's just the way it's going to be. But please, if you're hearing my voice, you're in the chat right now, I don't care who it is. You might have watched since day one. That's fine. If you have a problem with that flag, unsubscribe. Listen, we can part as friends. But there's nobody, and I mean nobody, who's going to get in that comment section and talk about that flag as if it doesn't mean something.
Yep.
Again, you want to put your head in the sand and pretend like, oh, well, I don't want to make people upset. You knocked on my door and told me to take a flag down. You can kiss my ass. It's real simple. Real simple. Yep. So I just want to be clear with that. And, I'll have a chat with Ryan. Ryan may go, hey, Clayton, you're out of line. That's cool. If that's the case, we'll have a talk. I want to be very, very, very clear about my stance there. And that's all I'm going to say on it. So with that being said, let's talk some ball. Now,
you like my new flag?
I do, Tim. That's a nice flag.
It's the biggest one I could find,
Exactly. So let's get this Elgton Jenkins thing out of the way. All right. And I really, really don't like to talk about this type of stuff. You guys know we're a show that tries to focus on positive. We don't want to create division, all those things that we always talk about. But it did get brought up, and you guys know a topic got brought up last week where Elgton Jenkins seems to be missing some of the offseason program. It was reported by Jason Wilde, and then he talked about it on his show a couple of days ago that and I'm paraphrasing here. You guys need to go listen to his show, so I'm not misrepresenting what he said. But my take from what he said was that I wouldn't report on this if I didn't have confirmation that Elgton Jenkins was upset about his contract, or maybe upset about the position move. Something. Basically, what he did, Tim, was kind of confirm Elgton was not there. We just didn't see him in the picture, so we didn't know why. Why is he not there, right? Romeo Dobbs is another one, from what I understand, wasn't there. And we know there's trade rumors around there. I can understand that. If a team's shopping you to be traded, I might not want to show up either. The Jair Alexander missing, that issue, right? That's, I think, more of the team. They're worried, hey, if he gets hurt in the facility, then we're on the hook for that $17 million this year, as it's been reported widely now. So, with all that being said, you had that Elgton Jenkins news there, like, hey, he might just be skipping the offseason program. Wouldn't be the first time it happened to him. It darn sure won't be the last, right? It ain't the end of the world. Doesn't make him a bad person either. Neither does this story, in my opinion, but we're going to cover it. And I put a poll question up. Everybody go vote for me. And I put the poll question up because I wanted to test the pulse of the listeners, the viewers. Like, how do you guys see this thing? Because there's some people that will look at the story and go, wow, that's horrible. What a horrible person. And there's other people that would look at it and go, it's a non-issue. So I wanted to kind of test the pulse of our listeners. So here it is. As TMZ reported, Elgton Jenkins was involved in an Atlanta strip club dispute. All right. Green Bay Packers offensive lineman Elgton Jenkins was involved in a dispute at King of Diamonds, a strip club in Forest Park, Georgia, on May 1st, 2025, according to TMZ Sports. The incident surfaced a few days after ESPN Wisconsin's Jason Wilde reported that Jenkins had not attended the Packers offseason activities to date. TMZ Sports reported that Jenkins and a group of friends arrived at a strip club around 11:30 p.m. after paying the entrance fee. Dissatisfied with the club's atmosphere, the group requested a refund, leading to a disagreement with staff. The situation escalated, prompting a response from the Forest Park Police Department. Body cam footage obtained by TMZ shows officers arriving at Jenkins and his group as Jenkins and his group were leaving. The club issued a refund and no arrests or citations were reported. Jenkins and his representatives have not commented on the incident. The Packers and Forest Park Police Department have provided no further statements. So I want to be really clear here, Tim. Nothing illegal happened, correct? What you're hearing too? Nothing illegal happened.
Yeah, from that standpoint, it's a nothing burger.
Yeah.
There was no fight, no physical altercation, no tickets were written, nobody was arrested. So
right.
This is in my opinion, this is more of like a, who are you choosing to surround yourself with? What are you choosing to do with your off time kind of scenario? And, if you want to have a moral conversation about hanging around strip clubs, whatever, I mean, these are grown men. These are all adults. It's important to remember nothing illegal happened here. So.
No, exactly. And I want to be really, really clear with that nothing illegal happened. The poll question is the recent Elgton Jenkins situation, both him skipping team activities and the strip club incident, concerning? No, not an issue at all, leading at 73%. Yes, very concerning is at 28% with 40 votes in right now. So it seems like it's going to be, and this is how it was on X too today. Like it seemed like everybody was just laughing it off like, hey, it ain't a big deal, that type of thing. Now, here's what I'm saying about it. All right. As Gregory says, nothing good happens in a strip club after 2 a.m.
I don't know how much good happens before 2 a.m. either, but
yeah, that's a good point. Even at the breakfast buffet there, Ron Swanson, right? But I don't look at it like we know nothing illegal happened, right? I'm looking at it from the Packers standpoint, though. And I asked him this live off air, and it was an honest question. I want to ask you guys in the chat, too. When was the last time it was reported that a Green Bay Packer was in a strip club in the media, right?
And it happens. I'm sure it's happened.
Oh,
it's
absolutely.
Usually without issue, and it doesn't make the news,
Yep. And I'm just that's what I'm trying to figure out is like, when was the last time this happened? What kind of precedent do we have? Are the Packers like, hey, this is a non-issue? And when you look at it and you put two and two together now, this is your most veteran offensive lineman. This is the guy who I would consider the captain of the offensive line, right? He's moving to what I think is the second most important position on the offensive line at center. Now we've got a little bit of a contract issue, or maybe it's a position change. That water has not become clear yet. It's still kind of muddy, right? But now you've got this incident where nothing illegal happened. But I'm just wondering, if you're Brian Gutekunst or you're Ed Policy, who's now taking over the Packers, right? Are you looking at this going, oh, this ain't nothing? I have a hard time believing they're looking at it that way. That's the reason I brung it up and just wanted to have a conversation about it. So, I'm a business owner. If one of my employees didn't show up for something that 90% of the rest of the employees showed up for, and then 1 week later I find out, hey man, the cops got called. They were out of the strip club and it got a little chippy. No charges were pressed. I'm sorry, as a business owner, I'm probably looking up going, hey, man, we probably need to give him a call. We need to just talk and make sure everything's okay. Not what are you doing? Just like, hey, man, we good. We're in a good place. Because here's the other reality. Like we talked about this, Tim. Elgton Jenkins has been a model Green Bay Packer, right? Like I've always looked at him like this dude's a team leader. And not that him hanging out a club doesn't make him a leader now. I'm just saying like this seems a little bit like, I don't know. So, of course, the jokes are just flying in the chat.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying not to laugh while I'm reading.
You're trying not to laugh. I'm trying not to look, but that's where we're at. So, anyway.
I think you're right. It's a team conduct kind of thing. So you might get a call from your GM, maybe even your head coach. Hey, just checking in. Everything good? Because it seems like his mind is not on football at all right now, at the very least.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a little concerning. Like you said, he's basically the captain of that O-line. It's either him or Zach Tom. So, I don't know. I don't know if there's any ties to the thought that I've heard speculation that maybe he's not thrilled about the move to center. And, he's got he's in the last year of his deal. So he's probably looking for, you know, a contract restructure or extension, more money, more guaranteed.
I'm going to double check. I don't mean to cut you off. I'm going to double check. I think he's got 2 years.
2 years left. Okay. All right. So that's good. But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe Elgton was in love with that left guard position that's basically been his for the past, 3 seasons now that he's basically he's been the dude at left guard. Maybe he feels like at this point in his career, he's played well enough and earned the right to stay in that spot. But, that's not necessarily it's an understandable attitude, but it's not a healthy one for your team. Your attitude should be wherever the hell you need me to play on that line, I'm going to go out there and do it. And we'll see what happens. But at the very least, from this whole nothing burger kind of, incident at a strip club, and then combined with the missing the team activities, things like that. Yeah. You start, putting 2 and 2 together. It kind of just looks like he's not really focused on Packer football right now at this point in time.
Yeah. And he is 30 years old. His cap hit this year is $17.6 million. He's got this year and next year left on his contract. And again, the cap hit this year is $17.6 million. Next year, the dead cap is 9.6. So if you cut him outright, I'm not saying they should cut him. I'm just talking about the salary cap situation. Okay. You free up $8 million if you decided to move on from him. And then next year it jumps to $24.8 million with only 4.8 in dead cap, which means if you just let him play the contract out this year, and then, him being 31 years old next year, forget all the other situations. Let's just say he hits the wall and you move on next year, you're going to free up $20 million in cap space. So I say that because it's not like the Packers are in this crazy situation, right, where, we're stuck, if they do have an issue with it. So it's kind of important, I think, to cover all the bases. So if that makes sense. But anything else you want to add to it, Tim? I'm glad we hit on it. And again, I don't want to make it any bigger of an issue it is, but it was definitely a talking piece on X this morning, and I'm sure there's going to be multiple articles written about it and this and that. So,
I've got some experience with the nightlife in a former life, and I know how a lot of clubs like to run their doors. I've never been to King of Diamonds down in Atlanta area, but I do know that for the most part, you wait in the line, you pay a cover charge, and you don't even get to see what's going on inside until you've already paid. Usually you make it to like a little entryway or something, and promoters and club managers are telling you how great the vibe is or how much fun it's going to be. They hit you for that charge. You get inside and there's nothing going on. It looks like a ghost town. So they might have felt like they got a little bamboozled there at the door, and that might have been kind of. They were probably just a little upset about the vibe that they received once they walked in and, paid the money or whatever. So nothing burger. I'm glad everybody kept their cool for the most part. Right.
Yeah. As Holmes said here, who wanted to be the cop to roll up on Jenkins? No thanks. Could you imagine? Sir, what's going on out here? Wouldn't want to be that guy for sure, man. John said Jenkins would be a 3 taser kind of guy. That's a fact. He'd be plucking them things out of him if somebody made him mad. And I will say this, in the video they showed, and you guys can go check it out, all you see of Elgton Jenkins is him walking out of there and trying to get to his car and get out of there. So he was removing himself from the situation too. So that's for what that's worth. And again, I'm just kind of, I don't know, man, kind of going off of, I guess, past precedent with it when it comes to the Green Bay Packers and how strict they are on stuff like that. So
sure.
All right. So there we go. We covered it. That was one of the hardest segments I've ever had to cover. I'm so uncomfortable right now because, again, nothing illegal happened. But as a business owner, again, I gave my opinion. I'm at least making that call like, hey, bub, we good? Everything all right, man?
Yep.
That type of thing. So, all right. Now, let's turn a complete 180 here, Tim. And let's talk about a guy who, I got to really choose my words wisely. I'm not that I am disappointed in Elgton Jenkins or don't want him on the team. That's not the case at all. But just a totally different player in terms of how they're kind of treating the team and treating, their situation. And that's Josh Jacobs. Man, I'm so glad that this dude, is a Green Bay Packer. Get ready to keep that up here in a second, Tim. So I'm going to lead this off with a video here. So I thought while we're in the off season, we've been kind of hitting the scouting reports on some of these rookies and things like that. I thought, why don't we highlight some of the veterans as well, kind of talk about their upbringing, kind of some adversity they fought through, and we're just kind of tell their story. So I think if you had to title this segment, you just say this is the Josh Jacobs story, and we're going to tell it as best we can. I'm going to pop a video up here from Bussin' with the Boys. If you'll put that same screen grab up for me, Tim, thank you so much. I'm going to play this quick clip. Now, listen, if you got kids in the room, I think there's an F-bomb in here. Just want to give you
only one.
Yeah, I believe.
That's
well, there
pretty
might be
good for Bussin' with the Boys.
Yeah, this is only 1:17 long, and I just want to take you into the mindset of Josh Jacobs before we dive into his story here. Okay, and again, this is him talking about playing for the Raiders and the culture shock of coming into the locker room after a loss and seeing guys just laughing and cutting up after they just got beat. And I want you to hear the kind of player, the kind of person that Josh Jacobs is. And here we go. Here's the clip.
It's like all moment was, I remember we lost the game and I was in the locker mad. Cause at Bama, I probably lost 3, maybe 4 games in 3 years I was there. So I'm like, I'm used to winning. Like, you feel me? So I'm in the locker room mad. And I remember the vets came up to me, like they laughing and shit. And I'm like, the fuck y'all laughing for? So I get mad. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, what y'all got going on? They're like, man, you gonna learn, like in this league, you gonna lose. Like you got to get used to all this other kind of stuff. But I was like, that like mentality, I remember I was like, we're not gonna ever win like that. If people don't take this a little more personal, it's one thing to not obviously be crying after the game, but like don't be sitting acting like around like you happy that we, you know what I'm saying, that we lost. Like that was always a thing. But I was always one of them guys too that I felt like, I mean, you play with me. I always, every day, I'm trying to bust my ass. Every day. I'll be the, if not the hardest worker, top 3, and I'm trying to like figure it out every day. So like when somebody did stuff like that, it wasn't respected for me. And that's what caused a lot of friction.
He's not lying. Josh would be visually pissed off after games. I remember the second stint. We came.
All right, so that was Will Compton, obviously, talking about that and his experience playing with Josh. You can drop that down now, Tim. Thank you so much, man. Again, check that out. It's on Bussin' with the Boys. It's all over Twitter right now, that clip. I just thought that was really, really cool. So let's dive into his story a little bit, Tim. I'll try to stop, take me a drink here, take me a sip, keep the voice going in between and get your take on this. But let's kind of lay out Josh Jacobs and his story, all right? And you guys have heard little bits and pieces of it. I'm going to try to give you a little more in-depth in that. And we're going to walk you through his college years. We're also going to walk you into, obviously being drafted by the Raiders and then coming to Green Bay, right? So the Green Bay Packers struck gold in the 2024 offseason by signing former Las Vegas Raiders running back Josh Jacobs to a 4-year, $48 million contract, replacing franchise icon Aaron Jones. The 26-year-old 2022 first-team All-Pro has anchored Green Bay's top 5 rushing offense with power, vision, and versatility. Standing at 5'10", 223 pounds, Jacobs has delivered a Pro Bowl caliber 2024 season, solidifying his role as the Packers' workhorse running back 1 and a leader in Matt LaFleur's explosive offense. With a relentless running style and an inspiring journey, Jacobs is fast becoming a Titletown staple. You see this picture of him with his pops when he was younger, right? This is a little clip on his childhood here. Thought this was really cool. Growing up in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Josh Jacobs faced hardships that shaped his resilience and drive. For a good portion of his childhood, he and his 4 siblings lived out of a suburban with their father, Marty, after their parents' separation left them without a stable home. They parked in lots during the day and slept in the car at night, with Marty ensuring the kids had food, even if it meant he went without. Despite frequent moves and a fire that destroyed their home when Jacobs was in 3rd grade, his father's sacrifices and love instilled a fierce determination in Jacobs. I remember seeing him not sleep, Josh Jacobs told NFL Network ahead of the draft about his father. Quote, "It's crazy because I didn't notice that I was sleeping in a car. I was just thinking that I was falling asleep and waking up. I didn't think anything about it because it felt safe." And then another quote here from this childhood picture where he's got a Washington Redskins shirt on, or I believe maybe it might be one of his brothers that does, or a cousin or something. It says, "The way we were living, the sacrifices my dad was making, none of it. I just never looked at our life as a struggle. To me, it was just life. It was all I knew." So get your take so far, Tim. Pretty cool story, man.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of respect for his pops, right? I mean, that you can tell right there when you when you hear him say something like that. I just never looked at it as a struggle. And that's what, good parents do, right? That Pops shouldered that burden and made sure the kids had what they need, make sure they were safe, and did the best he could with what he had. And, obviously it paid off. I mean, he's got one hell of a successful son right now, if you ask me. So I think that's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, as Stacy Mitchell says here in the chat, I have to admit Jacobs has really made the transition from Aaron Jones a lot smoother than I originally expected. Kudos, Packers. That was an amazing sign. Yeah. That sums up exactly how I felt about this sign.
Yeah. I went from one stand-up guy to another stand-up guy, smooth, perfect.
And I was really, don't get me wrong, I was really excited about the thought of when we signed Josh Jacobs that we keep Aaron Jones and man, those two together. You're talking about a strong locker room. Holy cow, right? Yeah. But I couldn't agree more, Stacey. I think that's very well said. Very well said. So it said he would just drive around until he found a place to sleep, and then I'd get up the next day and go to school. Marty Jacobs told NFL Network in April, quote, "One of the things that I'm proudest of with Josh is that he just trusted the process. There are a lot of things he experienced as a child that he doesn't want his son to experience. I tear up when I talk about it because God trusted me with those kids, and he trusted me not to leave. That's why I'm glad to see Josh embracing the positive stuff from what we went through. Jacobs and his family have come a long way since his humble beginnings in a suburban in Oklahoma, fueling his rise from homelessness to NFL stardom." So let's jump into the high school days, which, by the way, I love these pictures, man. These are always awesome.
Man, somebody just got smoked. Look at that dude.
Absolutely ragdolled, right? So it says a Tulsa, Oklahoma native, Josh Jacobs was a 3-star recruit in the 2016 class. And I apologize for the dogs barking. I've sent 30 text messages trying to make something happen down here, but
they hear you talking about Josh Jacobs. They're fans.
They said he's a dog too. So, so a Tulsa, Oklahoma native, Josh Jacobs was a 3-star recruit in the 2016 class, ranked 445th overall by the On3 industry ranking with an 88.2 grade. At McLean High School, the 5'10", 200-pound back dominated, rushing for 5,372 yards and 56 touchdowns while earning all-state honors. His senior tape showcased a compact frame, explosive burst, and tackle-breaking prowess. With a reported 4.5-second 40-yard dash. Despite playing at a smaller school, Jacobs drew offers from Alabama, Oklahoma, Missouri, Purdue, and Iowa State, ultimately committing to the Crimson Tide, where he emerged as a first-round talent. All right, moving along. Let's get into the college years here, okay? By the way, look at that dog right there. You kidding me? My boy grew up. All right. College statistics. Jacobs' 3-year career at Alabama, 2016 to 2018, saw him excel in a loaded backfield alongside Damian Harris, who went on to be drafted by the Patriots, was a really good back for him for several years, and Najee Harris, who was a running back for the Steelers. I think he's a free agent, maybe have signed somewhere else this year. As a freshman in 2016, he rushed for 567 yards, 4 touchdowns on 85 carries with a 6.7 average yards per carry. In 2017, despite a broken ankle, he added 284 yards and 1 touchdown on 46 carries, averaging 6.2 that year. His 2018 junior season was his breakout, earning SEC championship game MVP honors with 83 yards and 2 touchdowns on 8 carries. Tim, he carried the ball 8 times and was averaging over 10 yards a carry in the SEC championship.
That's nuts, man.
Yeah. That was against Georgia. It says Jacob.
Look at his going back, man. Like, has the guy ever in his life since high school averaged less than 5 yards a carry?
I mean,
it's crazy.
Nuts. Says Jacobs totaled 1,491 rushing yards, 16 rushing touchdowns, and 48 receptions for 571 yards and 5 receiving touchdowns across 40 games, proving his 3-down potential. He declared for the 2019 NFL Draft after Alabama's national championship loss to Clemson. All right, so there's his PFF grade starting in 2016, 74.8, then he jumps to an 80.6, and he jumped to an 84.0. So we always talk about, you guys remember back to our draft coverage leading up to the draft, you're looking for a player that's ascending, that ascending player, right? That player that you see him get better every single year, and he's not hit his full potential. If you see a guy that like goes from a 70 to an 80 to an 81, back down to a 78, it's not all that negative, don't get me wrong, but you get a player that it just seems like they're getting better every single year. To me, that's the closest thing we got to a signal, I guess you could say, Tim, that he is an ascending player, right? as long as the tape backs it up. So, personal victory. Josh Jacobs' journey to the NFL is a testament to his unyielding spirit and determination to overcome adversity. Rising from homelessness and instability in Tulsa, Oklahoma, he transformed his challenging childhood into motivation, driven by a desire to provide a better life for his family, especially his son. His ability to trust the process, as his father Marty emphasized, allowed him to channel hardship into focus on the football field, earning a first-round draft selection and all-pro honors. Jacobs' success is not just measured in yards or touchdowns, but in personal victory of breaking the cycle of struggle for his family, embodying resilience and hope that resonate far beyond the gridiron. On January 7th, 2020, Josh Jacobs announced that he bought his father a house, a milestone honoring the sacrifices Marty made during their years of hardship. You see the tweet he put out on January 7th, "Bless just bought my pops a house." And there's a picture of his dad at the new home. That's the kind of guy Josh Jacobs is. Just absolutely.
Look at that picture of Pops too. You can see the
tears in his eyes.
Tears in his eyes with just pride, just proud of his son. That's amazing.
Absolutely. So here was the detailed scouting report. That's again, I just wanted to give the background of him leading up right to his NFL career. Now here's the scouting report. Selected 24th overall by the Oakland Raiders in 2019. Jacobs measured 5'10", 220 pounds at the combine, running a 4.64 40. Tim, if somebody ran a 4.64 40 this year, everybody's going, "Oh boy, well, mark him off the board," right? Yep. Said with a 1.60 second 10-yard split and a 35-inch vertical jump, earning a 5.65 RAS. So his RAS would have got no bonus points on our board. And it would have been a big goose egg. And again, a 5.65. You guys remember the conversation a couple of years ago that Goody had never drafted anybody that was less than an 8 RAS. Now that's since changed here recently, but this is another example of that, right? Let's see here. It says compact runner with elite contact balance, vision, and burst through gaps. His ability to gain yards after contact at 3.45 yards after contact per rush in 2024 and shed arm tackles made him a workhorse, while his 7.4 yards per catch as a receiver added versatility. His 2022 season with the Raiders, leading the NFL with 1,653 rushing yards and 2,053 scrimmage yards, earned him first-team All-Pro honor. So again, the full RAS card. There's nothing in the green for those of you listening on the pod. You got a little bit of yellow and a lot of red, right? Well, probably a little more yellow than red, but the broad jump 904. Tim, when you look at the explosion grade there, that would suggest he has no explosion. It was a poor explosion grade. Yeah. And what is the probably the strength of his game? It's his explosion. You know, his ability to stop, start, cut, and then deliver a lowered shoulder, right? Again, the 40-yard dash scored him a 4.08 with a 4.64 there. So another example, I look at the RAS as a tiebreaker. Like if you've got two players with the same grade, like, okay, we got them graded in the same ballpark. All right, let's go to the RAS card. Who's got the more athletic traits to work with, right? Yep. But what's not on that RAS card, Tim, is hard, man.
That's true. And it's hard to quantify that. And we've talked about this before, right? Do you want a really good football player? Or do you want a really good athlete? Sometimes the two are one and the same. And sometimes you get a guy like Josh Jacobs who, coming out of college, kind of a lower RAS score, leaves some things left to be desired here when you look at the chart. But at the end of the day, we can look back now. Hindsight's 2020, right? Here we are going into a 2025 season, and he's a top 3 running back in the NFL, arguably top 5 for sure. So it just shows you, man, the RAS isn't everything. And sometimes scouts get it wrong too, even when you just get past the measurables and the testing. So I think he's proven to be a pretty explosive player, even though he had a poor composite explosion grade on his RAS score. I think we can run back enough tape here between his Raider days and his Packer days and show you the complete opposite. So it does. It kind of proves that RAS is a great measuring tool, but it is not everything when picking a player.
Yeah. His 2023 season dipped to 805 yards at 3.5 yards per carry due to a quad injury that sidelined him for 4 games, sparking concerns about his efficiency behind weak offensive lines. If you guys remember when we signed him, we're like, are we getting the 2022 Josh Jacobs or the 2023 Josh Jacobs? We got the 2022 Josh Jacobs, no doubt about it. Yep. Goes on to say, critics highlight his lack of elite breakaway speed. Only 5 of 46 career rushing touchdowns exceed 20 yards, but his durability, 260-plus touches every season, and high-volume production made him a top free agent. His 2019 Senior Bowl performance, showcasing lateral agility and receiving skills, projected him as a 3-down back with Pro Bowl potential. We always talk about two things, right? Top 30 visits and whether they were a Senior Bowl participant. And if somebody really shines at the Senior Bowl, it's a great sign that, hey, these guys are probably going to be a good pro. Once again this year, what did the Packers do? They drafted Senior Bowl heavy. They drafted top 30 visit heavy, right? Here's another guy that stood out at the Senior Bowl. Just another example. So you look at the RAS, you look at the testing, Tim, all those things and go, I don't know if he's going to be a good pro. If you were to look to the Senior Bowl and went, I don't know, man, he dominated, that's a good sign. So another thing to keep our eye on for next draft season for sure. Love this picture of him and his son, man. This is when he signed with the Green Bay Packers, them at Lambeau Field. And I want to say this too. I didn't add this to the article, but there was another story. I don't know what's going on. Do you hear that outside, Tim?
No.
Okay. Sound like somebody running a dirt bike through the property here. I don't know, man. I'm out in the stream and go get me one. You know what I mean? Let's get out there on the trail. So, anyway, I wanted to point this out that his I'm trying to think of the politically correct way to say this. Most people say his baby mama, right? But the mother of his son, obviously it didn't work out between her and Josh Jacobs, but she was quoted multiple times talking about how this guy is the perfect father. This dude is a stand-up guy. When you've got an ex talking about a player like that, I don't know, man. That seems really, really awesome to me, man. What do you think about all that there?
I think it shows a lot of I think Josh Jacobs is probably one of those guys that you meet every once in a while that's a little wiser beyond his years, a little bit more mature for being a younger guy. He's been through a lot in his life from a very early age. And so I think that just shows, it's a testament to the character that he has. That's probably why his ex is talking about him that way, because there's no reason to say anything but good things about him. And I think it says a lot too about, the fact that you're right. You could be in a relationship and you have a son, and if it didn't work out between you two, it doesn't mean that there has to be animosity and stuff like that. Sometimes people can just part their own ways and continue to raise their child together. And it seems like that's what they do. And I think that's awesome, man. It's just another testament to his credibility and his character as a person, beyond the football field.
Yeah, definitely. Goes on to say, after spending 5 productive seasons with the Raiders, Jacobs signed with the Packers on March 14, 2024. Jacobs' 4-year, $48 million deal included $12.5 million signing bonus, $14.8 million in 2024. Now, you guys know when we talked about that specific contract, we had mentioned it's really you can get out of it after 1 year type deal. There's going to be some cap penalty, don't get me wrong, but you can kind of, as you can see here, perfect example, like in 2024, his cap hit was only $5.3 million with a dead cap of $12.5 million. What do I mean by they can get out of it? Let's say that he was the 2023 version and not the 2022 version, and the Packers went, oh, man, we made a bad signing. You could have cut bait with a cap hit of $11.3 million, but only dead cap of $9.3. So you could have freed up $2 million and just moved on. Next year, you can do that even more so, right? Because it jumps to $14.6 million cap with dead cap of 6.2. So you've got even more cap savings if you move on. And then the final year of the deal, when he turns 29 years old, $16.6 million cap hit, but only 3.1 in dead cap. And you guys know we talk about on the show a lot. That gives you some flexibility where you can convert base salary to signing bonus and free up a little more cap space, right? So
he ain't going nowhere.
No, that's me. I'm looking at it going, I wonder if we can get him till 33. He looks like one of those that'll hang around.
I think from his end, we can. Did you I don't want to misquote this here. I'll paraphrase, but he was on a live stream. I don't know if it was a podcast, but he was on a live stream or something a few days ago. And I believe it's Packer Muse on X was the account that retweeted this. And there was somebody talking to him on the live stream and said, hey, what do we got to do to get you down to Miami, man? We want you to be a Miami Dolphin. He said, man, I'm good where I am. I'm trying to retire there. Those were his words. So you got a guy that is committed at least from his standpoint, to playing the rest of his career in Green Bay. And I think when it comes to talking numbers, it's not going to be super difficult to extend this out or make this how it needs to work so it's beneficial to him and to the Packers. But I'm all for it, right? If he can stay healthy and continue to play like he does, I say let him play out his career here, man.
Definitely. And when you look at the PFF grades, man, starting his rookie year in 2019, 87.1, 76, 77. Then he jumps to a 91, falls back to a 65. That's a year of the quad injury and the bad offensive line. And then jumps all the way back up to a 91 last year in Matt LaFleur's offense. We talk about getting Jordan Love receivers. We talk about getting Jordan Love protection. Rarely do we talk about how important it is to have a solid running back in the backfield for Jordan Love to really take some of the heat off and put a few guys in the box, right, and free up some of those situations. Because when you load the box with 8, not only does it give you a one-on-one matchup on the outside, but most of the time it forces the coverage to go soft so they don't get beat deep, and that opens up the slants, the shallow digs, the shallow crosses, all that stuff underneath. So that's what a good running back does for your offense for sure. All right, so go on to say the team leader Green Bay needed. Josh Jacobs has brought more than just elite production to the Green Bay Packers, touching the ball 358 times for 1,792 yards and 17 touchdowns, that's playoffs included, in his inaugural season with the Packers. He has also emerged as a vital leader in a locker room filled with young talent. His journey from adversity to NFL stardom has made him a relatable and inspiring figure, particularly for teammates like rookie running back Marshawn Lloyd, whom Jacobs mentors by driving him to practice daily to keep his focus sharp despite injuries. And he literally said last year, I think it was LaFleur that talked about this, and Jacobs might have as well, that he basically made Marshawn Lloyd ride with him to practice. Like, no, I'm staying in his ear. And again, going back to the Elgton Jenkins conversation, this is what I'm talking about. It's like one end of the spectrum, this dude's, how can I make the next young guy better? How can I bring somebody up with me? How can I add stability to the team? And it's not a shot at Elgton. I'm just saying, like, you can see the difference. You can see the stark contrast, right? Mm-hmm. You want a team full of Josh Jacobs. There's no doubt about it, man. And I love that picture, by the way. You guys know we close it out every time with the sound bite. That's just the best picture ever, man.
Look at Jordan, man. He looked like about time they gave him my damn turkey leg.
Carrying that turkey leg like a G, man. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about it. And that's another example. This is going to sound so silly. People are going to roll their eyes. I don't care. They were out there kind of being highlighted on Thanksgiving night after winning that game. And what did Josh Jacobs do? He thought immediately, let me grab that platter and take it back to the boys. They took it in the locker room.
Give it to that old line, baby.
When you see Matt LaFleur addressing the rest of the team in there, you see them kind of – everybody's gnawing on something, right? And that was Josh Jacobs took that whole platter back. I think it's awesome. Which, by the way, didn't Leroy Butler prepare that mac and cheese right there on the right?
Yep. Yep.
That was off the chain. All right. Goes on to say his vocal presence and work ethic set the tone in team meetings, earning praise from head coach Matt LaFleur for rallying the offense during critical moments. Jacobs' ability to connect with players, drawing from his own experiences, perseverance, has fostered a sense of unity and purpose, making him the blue-collar leader Green Bay needed to elevate its championship aspirations. In conclusion, Josh Jacobs has transformed the Green Bay Packers offense, delivering a stellar 2024 season with 1,329 yards rushing, 15 touchdowns, and a third Pro Bowl selection. His durability, leadership, and fit in Matt LaFleur's scheme make him a cornerstone, but equally as important is Coach LaFleur said, quote, as good a player as Josh Jacobs is, he's an even better person. So there's your Josh Jacobs write-up.
Love that picture again right there. Bam. Let's show it twice. Look at that.
It's absolutely awesome, man. The way he set him up, man, he got in real close on the Honey Badger. Yep. I mean, real close. You could tell the Honey Badger's just going to push him out of bounds, and he went right underneath that chin, dude. Just bench pressed him. It was awesome.
Yep.
So
nothing like just the old stiff arm on a Super Bowl champion safety there. No big deal.
Yeah. Stacey Mitchell said Leroy said he wants his platter back.
Yeah. Did they wash it and return it to Leroy after they were done or what?
Who knows? Golly, I love it, man. All right, man. That's it for the Josh Jacobs talk. Hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Again, we're going to try to do a little bit more of that. I want to get better on this channel of like if they're like mini documentaries too. You know what I mean? Yeah. Just give kind of a behind the scenes on this player. And I don't think we can highlight the good enough. Again, when you hear about the bad everywhere in the world.
Oh,
And
yeah.
it's like everybody just glosses over the good people, the good stuff going on. So I want to definitely make sure we hit that. So with that being said, that's going to do it for hour 1. For those of you listening on the pod, we will see you on the other side for hour 2. We appreciate y'all.